How many people know someone who has committed suicide? Raise your hands, please. I thank you for sharing. I really do. You and I have a connection because I know how you feel and you know how I feel. Because I lost my sister to suicide. It devastated me enough where I had to go on a quest. I would read whatever I could. I studied because I wanted to know what makes a person commit suicide. The Center of Disease and Control tells us that 45,000 people commit suicide a year. The United States Veterans Administration says that 22 veterans commit suicide each and every day. That's too many. I want to do something to help it. I can hear the pastor saying, this is her final resting place. I began to realize for the first time, this is the end of our life together. Oh, we had a great time growing up as kids, a great time. We played like any normal kids would do, and we even fussed and argued. But when we fussed and argued, my grandmother would grab us, spank us, and make us sit on the back steps as our punishment, hugging each other. You know that created closeness. We really became close. And as life went on, I graduated from high school. My sister went off to college. She was in her second year. And the draft was going on. So I ended up in Vietnam. And when that was over, I had come home. And my sister had come back home too. But what I did not realize were the signs of a person who wants to take their life. What causes a person to want to take their life? See, I was sort of disoriented coming back as a combat veteran because I had PTSD. But you know what? I did not know that you could get PTSD going to college, pledging, working for a boss who is very ambitious and will do anything to get his crew to move. These are the things that lead to suicide. Emotional manipulation is a tool that bullies use that can end up in suicide. Well, my sister and I were back home, and when I was in Vietnam, she wrote me a letter telling me that she had fallen in love with a police officer and she wanted to get married. So, okay, we're home. We're going to prepare for the wedding and so forth. Because, see, my sister was fun-loving. Matter of fact, and she was a little large for her size now, a little large. She weighed close to 200 pounds. But she had earned the nickname of Tons of Fun, because that's what the girl was. And we were sitting there planning the wedding. Everything was going fine. Now, my father didn't raise us. He chose not to be part of our life. But my sister still wanted him to walk her down the aisle. He refused. I don't know why, but she felt rejected and abandoned again. But that's okay. My grandfather couldn't do it because he was bedridden. So guess what? The honor and distinction fell upon me. And see, being fun-loving, she decided that we were not going to walk down the aisle to the traditional Here Comes the Bride. She had upbeat music, and we got it done. Because see, all she knows is fun. But you know what? I didn't know her hidden heart. I didn't know what college had done to her. She had her master's by that time, magna cum laude, pledged for sorority, stress. And I'm half whacked out from Vietnam, so I think everybody's normal. But they're not. After the wedding, she went off to live with her husband, and I stayed home to take care of my mother because she was ill and she needed me to care for her. One day I was walking past her bedroom, and I heard her talking to my sister on the phone. And she was saying that her husband was being unreasonable. She couldn't do anything to please this guy. Even if she did what he said do, he still wasn't happy about it. So my mother said, you know, all newlyweds have an adjusting period. That was the wrong answer, because my sister shut down, because that type of response showed that she really wasn't interested. But okay, things went on. I figured she's a lively girl. She'll work her way through it. But one day I got a phone call to meet them at the hospital. My sister had taken an overdose trying to kill herself. I said, wow. So I looked at her and I talked to her. I said, look, what's going on? What can I do to help you? And I did not see that tons of fun look in her eyes any longer. It had drained completely out. So we thought she had gotten better. My mother took her to the doctor and so forth. And then a month later, same thing again. It seemed like the marriage was not working. The marriage was more stress and strain than she could handle. And she was back in the hospital again. So we took her home, and I was talking to her. I said, look, we got to sit down and talk. She said, no, everything's okay. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And I looked in her eyes, and now she had shut me out. I said, wow. So about a day or two later, she came by the house. She was the same old jovial self, laughing, kidding, and joking, and she stayed long enough for all of us to sit down and have dinner together. Oh, it was a great time again. But see, that's how they appear. They're happy one minute and depressed the next. From the dining room table or kitchen table to the car, her countenance had fallen. I said, you want to talk? She said, oh, no, everything's going to be all right. Everything's going to be fine. So she got in the car, and I had a feeling I would never see her again. And that haunts me even to today. I stood there and I watched her car just drive off, until I couldn't see it any longer. 4 days later, I heard somebody heavy running up the steps. It was my uncle. He was calling my name. He said, get up, your sister shot herself. We got there. Her husband and 2 policemen were sitting at the kitchen table, and they pointed to the bedroom, and we went in. There she was laying on the gurney, completely covered. A pleasant look on her face, as if to say, all that has hurt me has now left me. She appeared to be at peace. If I had to fill out the death certificate, I would have written on there, this person died of a broken heart, because she shot herself in the heart. I can hear the minister saying, family and friends, you may return to your cars. I knew it was all over, but it was something I had to do. I went on a quest. I read every book I could read. I studied courses. I even earned a Ph.D. trying to learn what I could do to help somebody. My counseling actually started when I was in the rice paddies of Vietnam, helping other soldiers who just could not cope with war. And I've done it to today. And I will continue to do it to help anyone. See, there are 3 things that I learned from Dale Carnegie's course, his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, that I want to share with you. And had I known to do this or not do these things, I believe my sister would be alive today. You don't criticize, complain, or condemn when someone wants to commit suicide. You say, well, what are the signs of somebody committing suicide? This is a permanent sign that you cannot miss, a sign you cannot miss. They will tell you that they're tired of living. They'll tell you that they're going to kill themselves. Or they make an attempt You can't miss those signs. And when you see those signs, remember these 3 things that you want to do. You want to listen to them, continue listening, because listening is what they need, because listening shows that you care and you love. Most people who will tell you that they're going to kill themselves, if you show them some love by listening, you will usually talk them back. Thank you.